First things first, I wanted to talk to you guys a little bit about career readiness. Career readiness, according to the National Association of Colleges and Employers, which is otherwise known as NACE, career readiness is the foundation to prepare the college educated for success in the workplace. So there's a few reasons why I mentioned this. Okay, next one. So, as I mentioned, NACE, they talk with employers from all over the country. And then they ask them which traits they would like to see in their employees. And then they kind of rank them. And they usually pick the top 8. Okay? So they pick the top 8. So in 2022, the top 8 career readiness competencies employers valued the most and were seeking out of their employees were first one was career and self-development. And this is where they want their employees to demonstrate curiosity, seek out opportunities to learn. The next was communication, which is your verbal, your nonverbal, your body language. There's been so many different studies trying to calculate which degree of nonverbal communication is communicated nonverbally, and it ranges anywhere from 70% to 93%. So this is your body language, your facial expressions, your posture, your eye contact, gestures, your clothing. This is all considered nonverbal, right? And a lot of times it's more believable. If I tell you I'm fine, I'm having a great day, but I'm bawling my eyes out, most likely you're going to think, man, she's not okay. Even though I said I'm okay, I'm clearly not okay, right? You have a tendency to believe the nonverbal communication over what you actually articulate, what you actually say. Okay. The next one on the list is critical thinking. So they want somebody to make decisions and solve problems. And then it goes on to equality and inclusion, maybe demonstrate flexibility by adapting to diverse environments. The next one on the list is leadership. They want somebody to plan or initiate, manage, evaluate projects. And then professionalism. We're going to talk about this a little later. This is maintaining a positive brand. And when I say brand, it's like your social media, right? Who are you portraying to the public, who you are? And we'll go into a little bit more of that later. But they want it to be professional. The next is teamwork. They kind of speaks for itself, right? We want somebody, or they want somebody to manage conflict, maybe actively listen as part of a team to build that positive relationship with coworkers. And then the last one for the 8 is technology. And they are looking for people who can quickly adapt to new and unfamiliar technologies, right? A lot of times different companies utilize different software or things might be changing. So they want their employees to kind of be able to adapt to these changes and do it quickly. So I'm bringing this up and I'm mentioning this. These are for 2022, right? So we go on to look at the job market for 2023. And the number one attribute they're looking for is problem solving skills. And it's followed by the second, which is to work as part of a team. And then the third, because I know it's really small, the third is a strong work ethic. So these competencies are not necessarily taught in school. As you can see on here, they're not like somebody who's fantastic in statistics or is, good in algebra, right? Employers are looking for something called soft skills. And I'm not sure if anybody's heard this word before. Kind of can go to the next one. So soft skills are your personal attributes that allow us to effectively relate to others, right? These skills enhance our personal interactions and lead to greater job performance and satisfaction. And then the hard skills are the specific teachable abilities that can be defined and measured, such as your typing, writing, math, biology, physics, automotive, any CTE, those are all hard skills. And then your soft skills are like your patience, your work ethic, conflict resolution, teamwork, right? These are all the things that the NACE was saying that employers are looking for. And I say this because thousands and thousands of students every year are going to graduate with the same degrees and the same certifications as you, that you will be receiving. But the thing that will set you apart from all these other candidates is what you're able to offer. What are you able to bring to the table? And these are your soft skills. And the reason I'm mentioning this too is because it's so important for you to start to kind of evaluate yourself, right? Some of you might be amazing at some of these, and then some of you might see things that you can improve on. Like, are you a hard person to work with? Or maybe you show up late and don't think much about it. Maybe you have a hard time accepting feedback or direction. Or I mean, you could be extremely flexible and take criticism well, right? You could work great within a team and you could be really empathetic. So it is important to take a look at yourself and these qualities. Some of you might be amazing at some qualities and some of you might need to work on others, right? But I say this because by knowing your strengths and your weaknesses and being able to articulate your strengths to an employer will go a long, long way in a job interview. So we say this just to kind of bring it to your attention. Okay. So why are soft skills more important than hard skills, right? Hard skills are useless without soft skills. Soft skills are harder to learn, right? We start learning our soft skills basically in kindergarten, right? You don't pull toys from other people, you don't bite, right? You don't hit. So you start to develop these skills and you continuously work on them and develop them, and you're developing them in school. You're working as part of a team. You're developing these skills. And then when you go to the workplace, employers want you to have these kind of already established, right? And then with a world that's becoming more saturated with machines and computers and AI, people are seeking out that human connection, in some cases more than ever before. And that's why customers demand soft skills. When there's a problem, you don't just want to type into a chat if you're not getting it resolved. You want to talk to somebody. You actually want to explain the problem and have somebody actually listen to you, especially if you're upset, and be empathetic and then be able to resolve that problem. So people are actually looking and kind of demanding this human connection. And then with the way the world is, again, it's becoming more and more AI, more automated. And so people are seeking out that human connection. And then there was a study I wanted to share with you. It was conducted by Harvard University, the Carnegie Foundation, and Stanford Research Center. And they concluded that 85% of job success comes from having well-developed soft skills and people skills, and only 15% of job success comes from the technical skills and knowledge, which is like your hard skills. And this study was actually concluded and published in 1918. So that's well over 100 years ago they did this study. And the reason I'm sharing it today is because it's still relevant today. Employers are still seeking these attributes from their employees as they were 100 years ago. And like I mentioned before, they might be looking for them more now, considering how much things have been pushed to computers and AI and other things. They want that human connection. Okay. So now that I talked to you about the importance of soft skills, we're going to talk a little bit about your resume, right? And how you can show off some of these skills that we talked about and what employers are looking for. But before we do that, I'm going to do a little activity. The first exercise, I'm going to have you all be hiring managers. And you're going to look at two resumes. You're going to look at the person's going to be applicant number 1 and then applicant number 2. And you guys are all the hiring managers. You're going to decide, and you have 2 resumes in front of you, and you can only call one person. So I'm going to give you a couple minutes to look at them. Okay. And so just look them over. If it's a little bit small, I don't know if you can make it a little bit bigger on your screen. But just take a couple minutes and then say who, you could type it in the chat. Who would you call if you could only call one? Who would you call in for that interview? Would it be applicant number 1 or applicant number 2? or you can unmute yourself. Who would you call in for that job interview?
I would call in applicant number 2.
Okay, great. I see lots of 2s in the chat. Perfect. And then may I ask, why would you call applicant number 2 in as opposed to applicant number 1?
For me, it's initially just looking at the overall formatting of the resume. It's a lot more visually appealing, and there's a lot more, just by first look, a lot more the applicant has to offer.
Great. Okay.
Versus applicant 1.
Great. Professionalism of the resume. Okay. Anybody notice typos? Anything stick out? A lot of details that they can do. Great. Did anybody notice anything very similar about these 2? So actually, applicant number 1 and applicant number 2 are the same person. Yeah, same exact person. Exactly. And the reason I wanted to show this is because I wanted you to see how different resumes can be. This is the same person with the same skills, the same certifications as applicant number 1, but it's what they chose to put on that piece of paper. Okay. So how long did it take you to decide on who you would call? Would you say a minute, a couple seconds? What would you think it was for you to decide who you're going to call? Seconds. Okay. Great. 3 seconds. Great. Seconds. Awesome. So, okay, let me ask you another question. What do you think the average attention span is for a human? Do you think it's hours, minutes, seconds? What would you say our attention span is? What do you think? You could be specific too. 5 minutes, minute, seconds. Okay. 10 minutes. Okay. Anybody else? Want to throw something in? Very little seconds. Okay, that's good. As of right now, the average attention span for a human is 7 seconds. Okay. The average attention span for a goldfish is 9. Okay. Go to the next screen. So you can see here in the year 2000, our attention span was 12 seconds. And then in 2020 or 2015, we dropped down to 8.25 seconds. And then in 2022, we moved down to 7 seconds, right? So it shows us decreasing. And so that was in 2022. So God knows where we're at now. We're probably below 7 seconds. But I asked this, why do you think this is? Why do you think our attention span is decreasing? Rapidly, actually. Why do you think this is? Anybody have any ideas?
It could be for the effect of social media and like looking over TikToks and Reels, and those last for just a few seconds at a time and then they switch over.
Yeah, yeah, yep. Look at all of the distractions we have today that we didn't have in 2000. So I'm sitting in my office, and I have my computer, and I have my work phone. I have my cell phone. I have emails coming in. I had to shut the door because I have students coming in. And so I'm having all these distractions coming at me all at once. And if I'm trying to look at a resume, where do you think my attention is, right? It's all over the place. I'm being pulled in multiple different directions. And this happens to everybody all the time. You could be on your phone looking up something, and then you get a text message, and then you go to that, and then you forget what you were doing, right? How many times does that happen? Or you go to look for something, and then you start scrolling, and then you end up on Instagram or TikTok, and then you're there for like half an hour, and you don't know what happened, right? So I mention this because I could go to the next one. Recruiters, the average amount of time they look at your resume before they decide what they're going to do is very little. It's about 6 seconds on average. So you have such a short period of time to wow them, right? And this is why having such a solid resume is so important. And you want to make sure that it's free from typos, free from spelling errors, grammar errors. Um, you can kind of look at it like this. Like, if you go on a first date, right? You go on a date and your date shows up late. Their clothes are all ripped up and they're a mess. They have like stains on their shirt. They're missing a shoe. You guys go out to a restaurant and they're rude to the waiter. They don't tip. They overtalk you. You're obviously not having a very good time. What do you think your chances are that you would call them for a second date or accept a second date? It's probably not going to happen, right? And this is why first impressions are so important and they hold so much weight. And your resume is your first impression to this employer on who you are. So I know resumes are not fun. Nobody enjoys writing a resume, but they do hold a lot of weight. And it's really important that you put forth the best effort, right? You take that time to create a really solid resume that you're proud of and you're proud to hand it to that employer. Okay, so what should your resume look like, right? So today we're going to talk about what a very, very basic resume. And for resumes, basics not bad, right? Basics good. And because employers are looking for specific things, they're looking for their key things, right? They're looking for your education. Are you qualified for this job? Certifications, your experience, your all these things that just to see if you're able to be qualified for this job. They're looking for this. So by checking off these minimal qualifications that they need to see if they can even call you for that interview, and you want to make sure that you make it as easy as possible for them, right? Let's see. I also wanted to mention every time when you apply for a job, you're going to have a job posting. And I always recommend to students to take that job posting and either save it as a PDF or print it. Either way, you're going to refer to it for two things. The first thing is you're going to be using that job posting for your resume. That's going to help you with your resume. And the second thing is usually there's always going to be a delay, right? You're going to apply for a job. It's going to be posted for a duration of time. And then once that job posting gets pulled, right, it usually goes away. So it'll be very hard to find that same job posting again. And if you're applying for multiple jobs at different companies and they call you about 3 weeks later, a month later for an interview, you might forget what job you actually applied for. So you want that job posting so it'll help you with that interview because they're going to be asking you questions relevant to what was on that job posting. And that's going to be one way to help you prepare. And the other thing is it's going to help you with your resume. And we'll talk about that just a second here. So if we go to the sample layout, I know it's a little bit small. I'm going to go over each of the headers with you. And then I will also share this template with you so you'll have it. And then I can share a couple other useful like action verbs and stuff like that with you as well. But we're just briefly going to go over the format. So the first thing first is your name. And I know it's easy to just go online and find resume templates. And I'm going to strongly discourage you from doing that. The best thing you can do is just open a Google Doc and make it blank and just start typing. Type your name, type your address, your phone number. Make sure the email address you put down here, you actually check, right? You want to make sure you check this email. And if it's a school email, make sure that it's not going to disappear if you graduate, right? So you could do like a Gmail email, whatever you want to do, but as long as you check it, right? Okay, so after you put down your personal information, you're going to put down your objective. Now, this is kind of just like a snapshot sentence or a paragraph of why they should hire you, why you're the best candidate for the job, why you would do well in this job. Or a lot of people just do, instead of doing that, you just say to obtain the position, and you put the exact position title. And if it has a number, you can include the number of the job you're looking for at so-and-so company. And that's kind of just letting the HR manager or whoever's looking at your resume know what job you're applying for. And this is really relevant, like if you're applying at a hotel and a hotel is hiring like everybody all at once, right? They're looking for cooks, they're looking for customer service, they're doing valet, they're doing, grounds, they're doing all different things all at once. And you're basically just showing them that you are applying for this position, right? So that's your objective. And the next is the summary of skills. So this is a list of skills that would show the employer that you would be best fit, right? And this is where the job posting comes into play. And you want to be specific. So, for example, if the job posting is saying you must be able to lift 75 pounds, this is where you put that you're able to easily move, lift, and carry 75 pounds. You put that right in there. If they want you to have excellent customer service skills, this is where you say, I'm a team player with excellent communication skills in verbal and in writing, or whatever you want to put. But you want to use the same verbiage that is in that job posting some way, somehow in your resume. You never want to lie, but you want to make sure if you're able to do that, and if you're applying for the job, most likely you are, you want to put that same information that they put in the job posting, because remember, that's exactly what they're looking for. You want to make sure you have that in your resume. Okay. You can also put, if you speak multiple languages, this is where you'd say that, like proficient in whatever language you're proficient in. And so these are where you're going to list your skills. And generally you could do like 3 or 4 bullets, right? And that's a good amount. And then next, you could do related coursework if this applies and if you have space. If you don't have that many jobs under your belt and you need space to kind of fill that one page, related coursework is a great thing to put in. But you want to make sure you don't just put like Psych 101, right? To anybody outside of the campus, that doesn't mean anything. So you want to always put the title of the class, and you want to make sure that it's relevant to the job you're applying to, okay? And then even if you put the full title of the course, leave out the number, because the number, again, doesn't mean anything to anybody outside of campus. And then you could do that in bullets as well. And you want to list maybe like 3 or 4. You don't have to list every course that you took. It's just list the ones that are really specific to what you're applying to. Okay. And then the next header is education. And here it just says, you kind of do, so if you're in college, you're going to list college first, and then high school is going to go below it. And then in college, you're going to say pursuing a associate degree in applied science in automotive technology, or whatever the title is. But you want to make sure you put the full title and you spell it out. And then underneath, you're going to put down university. And then you could do comma and put down just, where it is. You don't have to do zip code or anything like that. And then I know in this template, it says to and from dates. And I'm actually going to say, don't put that on. All you're going to say is expected graduation, be like May 2024, or it could be like May 2026, whenever you think you're going to graduate. And you're not held to stone, right? This can change, but you just want to put something down. And I say, don't put to and from, because some people look at an associate degree as being, it should take you 2 years. And I know a lot of our students come part-time. So it's not going to take them 2 years. It's going to take longer. And by putting down whatever time, it's allowing that employer to speculate or to ask questions that sometimes legally they can't ask. And if you don't put that out there for them, they're not going to ask it, right? It's really not their business to know. It might take some people 10 years to graduate. And that be because they could have started, stopped, right? Life happens and events happen, right? They could have had something with family or taking care of somebody or had kids. Whatever the case might be, there's a reason why they started, stopped, started again. And that's totally fine, but you don't have to say when you started, right? It's nobody's business. So we just say expected graduation is more than enough. And the same kind of holds true with high school. You just list your high school name, the location, and then say diploma received. And again, we say don't put the year, because if you just graduated, somebody could look at them and be like, they're too young. They won't know how, whatever. And that's actually illegal. They can't technically not do that. It's ageism, and they can't, technically, legally, they can't discriminate against that. However, if you put that on there, there's really no way of proving that, right? So we just don't give them that information. So you just say diploma received, and that's all you need to do for high school. Okay, so moving on. So work experience is kind of going to be the bulk of the resume, and this is where you're going to be putting in like what you did, right? So these are short, truthful accomplishments. And you kind of want to start each bullet with an action verb. And I'll give you a list and you can, look up different action verbs. It's like performed. There's a whole bunch of them. And then that's how you start each bullet. And you want to do maybe three to four for each job. And again, they're going to be short, concise little sentences. And you want to bring in stuff from the job description, right? If they're asking for certain things, this is where you kind of can bring it in, showing that you had that experience, and you put it in your work experience. And then under that, you're going to do any volunteer, community service, clubs, any extracurricular activities. And if you don't have any of these, totally fine, but just don't put the headers, just leave it. And then under that, you could put awards and certificates. This is where you could put like if you're CPR certified, or I know some, programs have different certifications that come along with it that you could have earned along the way before graduation. And this is where you would put those down as well. So any certifications that you received. And you always want to put down the dates that you received them. Especially if it's like CPR, you put expires, like expires on the date or expiration date. They want to know, that's great, you have it, but when does it expire? So if anything expires, rule of thumb is you put the expired date down. If it doesn't expire, you just put down the date you received it. Okay, and like I said, we'll share this template with you, so you have that as well. Okay, so we'll go over some resume tips with you. So always proofread your resume, right? You want to catch any errors. And the best way to do this is have other people look at your resume. At least you should have at least two other people review your resume, and they can kind of catch some things that you might not have caught yourself. You want to make sure the layout is clean, right? If you notice the headers were all bold and all capitalized, you want to distinguish it so it kind of breaks it up on the paper. However you do this is up to you. Some people just bold them, some people capitalize it, some people do both. All's totally correct. It's just your personal preference, but you want to do something to kind of break it up. And then however you choose to do it, just make sure you stay consistent. So if you're bolding each of the headers, make sure you bold all the other ones below it as well. And then you want to customize your resume to a job you're applying to. This is more specific, say like you're applying to be a cook, and then you're also like, well, I can do construction. So I'm applying to construction jobs. They're really different. So you kind of want to tailor each one to the job you're applying to. Again, you want to make sure you read and understand the job requirements. And again, clearly label section headings and good spacing. So make sure all your dates are on one side and you're kind of breaking up the page. And when employers look at your resume, they kind of look at it in a weird zigzag fashion because they're looking for specific things. They want to make sure you have them because you don't want to, they're looking to make sure you're not wasting their time. Like, okay, you're qualified. Okay, then they're looking for specific things in your resume. So by having everything laid out very structured helps them find the things they're looking for. Okay. And then just what not to include on your resume, right? So photographs and like too much personal information, you want to leave off. Personal pronouns such as I. You don't want to put I on your resume. You can use I when you write your cover letter, but on your resume, you never want to say I, right? Okay. Anything really irrelevant experiences, this is kind of like the hobbies, right? You just leave those off. And then poor academic achievements. So if you have like a really good GPA, you can put your GPA under your like high school or the college. You can say like GPA, whatever, summa cum laude, or you can add all of that. If you have like a GPA that's like 1.9 or one something, just leave it off, right? You don't want something that could actually work against you on your resume. And then salary expectations, you never want to say like you expect this, especially since a lot of the different jobs will tell you what the salary is. And they don't have the call to change the salary anyways. So it's just a big turnoff. Don't put that on your resume. And then, like I mentioned, don't put hobbies on there. Okay. So now I'm going to turn it over to Tomoko. She's going to go over some resume mistakes with you.
Okay, so yeah, let's go over these mistakes. So mistake number one. Can you guys read this? Kim, can you read this?
Hmm. Yeah. Does anybody want to take a shot at reading this? Okay. I'll read it really quick. It says, I couldn't believe that I could actually understand what I was reading. Using the incredible power of the human mind, according to research at Cambridge University, it doesn't matter in what order the letters in a word are. The only important thing is that the first and the last letter be in the right place. The rest can be a total mess and you can still read it without a problem. And this is because the human mind does not read every letter by itself, but the word as a whole. Amazing, huh? Yeah, I always thought spelling was important.
Nice. Can you expand on this?
So this is why having somebody else read your resume, because in your mind, when you write down words, you think you wrote down the word that you want, but if you're typing really fast and because of the amazing thing of spell check, another word could come in. And since you're already focused on what you think the word is, and if the first and the last letter are the same, that's when you read something, you're not even reading the word as what it is you're reading what you think it is. And that's why it's always good to have somebody else read it. And they're going to catch typos that you might not have caught yourself.
Thank you, Kim. Yes, and then moving on to mistake number two, bad social media reputation. So 67% of the admissions officers surveyed in 2015, they said that they looked up college applicants on Facebook and 40% didn't like what they found. So whether you're applying to work at a local restaurant or your first job out of college, graduate school, or your social media profiles are highly likely to be looked at as part of the decision making process. So make sure your photos and updates are clean as possible. So rule of thumb is if your parents, grandparents, aunts, or uncles are happy with what you post, you're probably okay. Okay, moving on to mistake number three. Inappropriate email addresses. So you can see these funnybunny38 at hotmail.com or loves to I, I can't read it. Kim, what is loves to loves love store not sure what it is, sexy rexy macmail.com. So all of these interesting email addresses. So make sure you have your first name or last name, or you can add a few numbers to it and use at gmail.com and you won't go wrong with it. Okay. Moving on, mistake four. So including photo of yourself or unnecessary or distracting graphics. This is another no-no. So make sure you avoid this because this is to avoid biases, to keep the focus on your skills and experience and promote equal opportunity and prevent potential legal issues in some regions. So make sure no photos. Okay. And mistake number five. So long resumes overwhelm recruiters and dilute relevance. So keep your resume to 2 pages at max. If it goes on to the second page, you should have at least half of the page filled. And also make sure that the header goes on to the second page as well. And another thing to remember is that have the page number at the bottom. You should put page 1 of 2 or page 2 of 2. So make sure it's going to be in within 1 page or 2 pages at max. But keep in mind that this is for private sector. So if you're applying for federal positions, it'll be a very different format and you'll be adding more information. So make sure if you're applying for federal jobs, we have a different format. So this is for a private sector. Okay, moving on to mistake number 6, lying. So do not lie about your professional or academic achievements when applying to a college or an internship or any job. Admissions officers and employers will investigate. And most of the time, living in Hawaii, everybody knows everybody. So make sure you do not put any lie on your resume. Okay, mistake number 7, bad format. So although this might look nice and you might think the image makes it look fancy, it is really taking away the optimal space on your resume where you can be showing off your skills and abilities. So also you want to make it as easy as possible for the person reviewing your resume. Remember, they're looking for specific things to make sure that you are qualified for the job. You want to make it easy as possible for them to find what they're looking for. And moving on, mistake number 8, wrong or bad font. Again, you never know who will be looking at your resume, and you want to make sure the font is not too small or too large, and you want to stay away from fancy fonts, which might be hard to read. You should stick with Times Romans or Arial or Calibri, and the font size should be about 11 to 12, and make sure it is consistent. Okay. Mistake number 9, inconsistent names. So make sure you use the same name on your resume that you put on your application and your cover letter. You also want to make sure if you include your middle name on your resume, include it on your application and cover letter. Consistency is the key. And this shows how detail oriented you are. And especially in Hawaii, some people may have Hawaiian names. So if you have your Hawaiian name on your cover letter and you have your English name on your resume, you want to make sure it's the same. So if your English name comes first, put your English name first, and then your Hawaiian name and your last name. If you want to have your Hawaiian name first, of course, you're going to do that, but make sure it's consistent. Okay. True or false? So number 1, type in the chat box. A good resume paints a clear picture of you, including your height, weight, race, age, and gender. True or false? Type in the chat box. Number 1, a good resume paints a clear picture of you, including your height, weight, race, age, and gender. False. False. False is the correct answer. Moving on to number 2. Employers are looking for specific soft skills in their employees. True or false? True. We have true. Yes, true is the correct answer. Okay, question number 3. To help your resume stand out, you should make it as unusual as possible by using bright colored paper, your picture, or spraying it with perfume. Okay, true or false? Okay, this is an easy one. Okay, false is the correct answer. And number 4, 1 or 2 typos or misspellings on a resume won't hurt your chances or getting the job if you are well qualified. True or false? Okay, this is another easy one too. False. Okay, moving on. So I have a very interesting video for you that explains about actual resume mistakes. So it's going to be about 5-minute video. Let me see if I can. Do you see the video? Okay, let me know if you can hear the audio.
Is here this morning, and we are talking about resume typos, the mistakes people make when they're applying for the jobs.
And they're funny,
yep.
Especially when they're not you, you know? Okay, so yeah, if you're looking for a new job, AOL.com, this is where we got everything from. They have a big list, and they say that last year, a temporary staffing firm interviewed about 150 senior executives. Are you ready for this? 40% said 1 typo, and you're out. That's it. 36% said, we'll take two typos, but then that's it, and you're really out. I don't know if I'd want to work for those people.
I know, right? Well, you know what, actually, I mean, but that's because in the business we're in, as long as you say it right, it's okay.
Right, for us it doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter as much, but when you see stuff like that, and that's a person going to be representing you, I can't say I blame them.
And 1 typo, I mean, 1 little letter out of place can make a really big difference. So
yeah,
let's take a look at some of these, and we'll see these. A woman wrote the article. She went on some job sites and found some good ones. All right, objective: seeking a part-time position
Woohoo!
with room for advancement.
What kind of advancement you're going to be doing with that?
See, that's where one little letter makes a big difference.
Okay, achievement: planned a new corporate facility at $3 million over budget.
Yay! Okay, let's see another resume state. Okay, skills: I am a rabid typist. I can guarantee nobody wants to work with you if you're a rabid typist.
As you foam at the mouth and bark at people as they go by. Okay,
Right.
let's see what's the next one. Hobbies: I enjoy cooking Chinese and Italians.
I mentioned this one last
Yes.
time because that one tickled me. I was dying. I think that's
just wrong.
Incredibly
It's just wrong. Why
funny.
just them? Why not everybody? You can't discriminate.
They're not up with things. All right.
Now, this is somebody who was way beyond the 6-year plan.
College, August 1880 to May 1984. That's a big problem. You make a mistake on that simple thing, and they're like, "What's with the? You're not getting hired."
Yeah,
Okay,
it means
that's
you've been
funny.
partying a lot. Cover letter. This was a sentence that was in it. I would like to assure you that I am a hardly working person.
At least they're honest. I would hire
hardly work.
for honesty on that one. Okay, that is funny. Personal information. Married, 8 children, prefer frequent travel.
That's way too much information.
Yeah, you don't need to put that kind of stuff
But
on
here's the
there.
thing. With 8 kids, I'd probably try to get out of the house too.
This does actually mean, right, I desperately need a job. I have 8 kids. I'm dying to get out
I'm
of that.
motivated. I am highly motivated. Okay, what's the next one?
Okay.
Language skills. Exposure to German for 2 years, but many words are inappropriate for business. You know what? I know how to curse in almost every major,
Of course you do.
romance language. I do.
Oh,
I
that
can't,
is funny.
I can't
Okay,
say.
reason for leaving. The owner gave new meaning to the word paranoia.
You ever think maybe it was you? I don't know. Sometimes you know what, you don't need to put that in anything.
Just so you know, okay, here's achievements.
Nominated for prom
queen. Nobody cares.
That means you're going to come in like a
Wait,
diva.
and you didn't even win.
I know. Just
I mean,
nominated.
if you were prom queen, maybe that
She
would
was a wannabe.
Just so you know, a couple things, I don't know if we have more, but they said some things to do to avoid this. Print out a copy so that you can look at it later.
And a hard copy because it's easier to see.
Right. Set it aside, then double check it an hour or two later, and have 3 people look over your resume so that you don't have this.
Okay,
yeah,
we
do
do
have more.
Education. Finished
Eighth in
in a
class of 10.
Like I was in the bottom 3.
Well, who goes to a class of 10? Anyway, okay, that is funny.
All right, let's see what else we got.
Interest.
Okay, this would be great for our job.
Yeah,
Gossiping.
right, I guess. Right. They want to hire the town gossip. Everybody needs that. Okay, resume mistake.
Is there another one? Oh, I love this.
Awards. National record for eating 45 eggs in 2 minutes.
That's nasty.
It is good for the holiday parties. You do need
Some entertainment.
somebody like this at the office.
References. Bill, Tom, Eric, but I don't know their phone numbers. Who are these people? These are people, your friends from the street?
I'm
They
crying.
wouldn't be good
I gotta wipe my eyes
references.
with a
Wait, I have tissue for you.
Oh,
hon.
okay.
Okay,
We got
salary.
lots of other
I
pillows,
love
so I
this.
haven't
The
run-
higher,
the better. At least they're honest. Okay, let's see another one. Cover letter. Please disregard the attached resume. It's totally outdated.
Here's a tissue.
Okay, thanks. These are very funny. Okay, I think that was
Okay.
it. So anyway, again, double check, set it aside,
Yeah.
get a couple people to look over it,
Yeah.
because one you see that one little thing, hardly working,
But here's
hard
the
worker.
thing. People who made those kind of mistakes, especially the last ones, you know there's other craziness all over their resume.
Yeah.
You know there is.
So there you go. Okay,
But thank you for making me laugh.
right.
And I hope you
Here's
get a
a Kleenex
job.
for you. I
once
didn't
you
use
fix
that
Oh,
one.
you gave me
In
a
case
dirty
you're,
one?
I didn't use that one.
Oh, okay.
Okay, never mind.
Okay,
Go
give
get-
Okay, how was that? I know at least people were honest, but make sure you have 3 people look over your resume, and the reason that was those mistakes that you might be able doing. So okay, moving
Well,
on.
Melissa's here this morning. And we
Okay.
are talking.
Now moving on to next steps. Kim, do you want to take over?
Yeah, so I know this was a lot of information, and like I said, we're going to email you the template, but I also want to invite any of you that want to send me the resume. I'd be more than happy to look it over. We can just email back and forth if you have questions, or we can set up a Zoom appointment and I can meet with you guys via Zoom. I have my email down. It's mooremorekl8 @hawaii.edu. I can put that in the chat as well. And then my phone number. You can give us a call if you want to schedule any appointment. So I'm more than happy to work. And like that video did showed it. I mean, punctuation's huge, right? Then you want to make sure that you're really showcasing your skills and abilities. And one thing I did mention that I want to mention really quick is I know students think, well, I only had a part-time job, or, you know, I'm just a barista at like Starbucks, right? And I'm going to go apply to being a nurse. They're totally different jobs. They're not relevant. And what I explain to students is everything can be transferable, right? The things you're doing at Starbucks, even though you don't think it's relevant, can be transferred to being a nurse. You're dealing with customers, you're going to be dealing with patients. How you treat these customers, you're going to have angry customers, you're going to have angry patients. So how you handle them is the same thing. Who you are as a person and how you handle people is transferable, right? So these skills that you're learning from one job goes a long way. And it also shows an employer your work ethic. If you're at a job for a year or over, doesn't matter what job you're at, you're showing this employer your work ethic, that you went to that job. Obviously, you didn't get fired from it, you're still there, or you were there for a period of time. So it shows a work ethic as to somebody who's like, oh, I don't, it's not important. I just did this for this period of time, but it's not relevant. So everything that you did, any job that you did, can be transferable to the job you're applying to. So that's one thing we can help you with as well.
Okay. So we have one quote for you. Surround yourself with people who push you to do and be better. Okay, no drama or negativity, just higher goals and higher motivation. Good times and positive energy, no jealousy or hate, simply bringing out the absolute best in each other, from Warren Buffett.